Hey, welcome to another episode of Freedom on Fire. This is your boy BOBTV, Robert Brown. How you doing today? And no, I did not steal Tim Black's setup. I did not hijack it. I just wanted to place look a mess, so I put some black background on the back, and it's not going to stay that way. I tried my green and brown don't look good, and I don't want to go and do no editing with a green screen, blah blah blah. Anyway, how are you doing today? Today is June the 15th. It's 1:11. Wow, I better get some sleep. I'm feeling a whole lot better, thanks to you guys giving me good vibrations, and I appreciate that. And but hey, I'm gonna get into news. Recently, we just had some bad news of a shooting, and I'm going to be reading from the New York Times. Steve Scalise, among four shot at a baseball field. The suspect is dead. Of course, they're going to shoot him dead. They killed him dead. They weren't going to let him live at all. A lone gunman who was said to be distraught over President Trump's election opened fire on members of the Republican congressional baseball team at a practice field in at a Washington suburb on Wednesday, using a rifle to shower the field with bullets that struck four people, including Steve Scalise, the majority whip of the House of Representatives. Mr. Trump, in a televised statement from the White House, condemned the very, very brutal assault and said the gunman had died after the shootout with the police. The gunman died after the shootout with the police. Law enforcement authorities identified him as James T. Hodgkinson, 66, from Belleville, Illinois, a suburb of St. Louis. That guy did some driving. Two members of Mr. Scalise's Capitol Police security detail was wounded as they exchanged fire with the gunman in what the lawmakers described as a several chaotic, terror-filled minutes that turned the baseball practice into an early morning nightmare. One was wounded by gunfire, and one suffered others minority injuries. The tragedy united Republicans and Democrats in shock and anguish for all the noise and all the fury, where one family speaker, Paul D. Ryan, said Wednesday afternoon. I'm gonna go back to that. Standing at second base, Mr. Scalise was struck once in the left hip, according to the witness, and collapsed as a shot rang out, one after another from behind the chain-link fence near the third base dugout. Witness said Mr. Scalise, a Louisiana Army, crawled from the infield to the grass as the shooting continued. His injuries are extensive, and he is in critical condition. Wednesday night, MedStar Washington Hospital Center said in a statement, as the bullet traveled across his body, it broke bones, tore up internal organs, and caused major internal bleeding. Doctors operated immediately, but additional surgery is required, the hospital said. Mr. Trump and his wife, Melania, made a trip to the hospital on Wednesday night, arriving with two large bouquets of white flowers. In other words, Trump went to the hospital to see the senator. The president sat privately with Mr. Scalise and spoke with his doctors and wife, Jennifer, for about 15 minutes. He also briefly chatted with the Capitol Police officers there before returning to the White House. Just left the hospital, Mr. Trump tweeted. Steve Scalise, one of the truly great people, is in a very tough shape, but he is a real fighter. Pray for Steve. Local officers arrived at the Alexander Ball Field minutes after they received desperate calls for help, including calls from those still under siege at the field. The authorities said the FBI said it would take the lead in the investigation, threatening it is an assault on a federal officer. Of course it is. Tim Slater, special agent in charge of the Borough Washington field office, said the investigators were exploring all angles, but that he could not comment on the motive. Asked whether the shooting was an assassination attempt, he said it was too early in the investigation to say one way or another. FBI said Mr. Hodgkinson had a handgun and a rifle, which he brought in March, according to law enforcement officials. Witnesses described the man with white hair and a beard, wielding a long gun as he stood behind the dugout. He was hunting us at this point, said Representative Mike Bishop, Republicans of Michigan who was standing at home plate when the shooting began. Mr. Bishop said the gunman had seemed to be firing a series of 2 shots at a time, a fireman technique known as double tapping, sending off bullets that kicked up the gravel on the baseball field as they struck the ground. There was so much gunfire you couldn't get up and run, Mr. Bishop said. Pop, 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 pop. It's a sound I'll never forget. Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, who was among the lawmakers practicing for the annual charity baseball game, which is still scheduled to take place on Thursday, told CNN the field was basically a killing field. It's really sick, very sad. Representative Jeff Duncan of South Carolina, who left the practice just before the shooting, said afterward that he had encountered a man in the parking lot, later identified as the gunman, who asked me if the team practicing was Democrats or Republican team. I told him they were Republicans. The lawmakers recalled he said, "Okay, thanks," turned around. The shooting stunned the Capitol as it began its workday. Out of caution, Capitol Police officials said they quickly put in place a robust police presence throughout the Capitol complex, and the Secret Service adds security around the White House. Mr. Ryan addressed his colleague in the House chamber shortly after noon, and this is what he said. He said, "We do not shed our humanity when we enter this chamber," Mr. Ryan said, his voice seemingly to nearly break at times. As the magnitude of episode became apparent, House leaders canceled the day's vote. Now I'm getting to this. And Mr. Trump and Vice President Mike Pence canceled speeches. We may have our differences, but we do well in time like these to remember that everyone who serves in our nation capital here is because, above all, they love our country, Mr. Trump said at the White House shortly after the shooting. Mr. Hodgkinson seemed to be a fervent opponent of Mr. Trump. He signed an online petition calling for the president to be impeached, posted it on Facebook with the chilling comment, "It's time to destroy Trump and company." His brother Michael Hodgkinson, I can never get the word right, Hodgkinson, look, I butchered the word "I" if you told me to pronounce it. That's just me. Anyway, Mr. Hodgkinson traveled in recent weeks to Washington to protest. I know he was unhappy with the way things were going, the election results and stuff, Mr. Hodgkinson said in an interview shortly after he received the news on Wednesday. He said that he had not been close to his brother and that he had not been aware of why he remained in Washington. The FBI said it appears that Mr. Hodgkinson arrived in the area in March and had been living out of a white van near Phil. So this brother was living in his van, waiting for this moment. Mr. Hodgkinson also appeared to have been a fervent fan of Bernie Sanders, according to the Facebook page with references to the Vermont senator. A LinkedIn page from James Hodgkinson had profile photos showing Mr. Sanders' famous hair and glasses and words, "The dawn of a new democracy." In a statement Wednesday morning, Mr. Sanders said that he had been told the suspect had volunteered for his presidential campaign. He offered his hope and prayers for the shooting victims. "I'm sickened by this despicable act," Mr. Sanders said. "Let's make it clear as I can be. Violence of any kind is unacceptable in our society. I condemn this action in the strongest possible term. Real change can only come about through nonviolent action." Others who were wounded include Zachary Bart, a member of the Representative Roger Williams' staff, who was struck in the leg by a bullet, and Matt Mika, a former congressional staff member and the director of governmental relations for the Washington office of Tyson Food, who was shot twice in the chest. He was in serious condition. Mr. Barth was treated at the hospital later and released. Two of these who suffered the injury were Capitol Police officers assigned to protect Mr. Scalise and the third-ranking member of the House Republican leadership team. Officials identified the two officers, Crystal Griner, David Bailey, both 32 officials, said Ms. Griner was shot in the ankle while Mr. Bailey suffered a minor injury and was treated to release. Mr. Williams of Texas praised the two officers as heroes, saying their split-second decision to confront the gunman saved many lives. "We saw two people risk their lives to save others. We saw courage in the face of death." Mr. Williams said in a news conference Wednesday evening they could have easily been 25 deaths or more that day. Members of the baseball team began to arrive early Wednesday morning at Eugene Simpson Stadium Park, which is nestled among a neighborhood dog park, the local YMCA, coffee shop, and a grocery store. It was the last practice before the big game on Thursday, a friendly partisan competition that has been played to raise money for charity during most years since 1909. By 7 a.m., when the first shot rang out, several dozen lawmakers, members of the staff, and a handful of others, many wearing red shirts, were Republicans on the front, had been practicing hitting, pitching, and catching for more than a half an hour. The bedlam erupted. With sounds of loud bangs, one after another, people dived for cover, crouching down by the concrete wall of the dugout. Marty LaVore, an Alexander-based photographer and former House staff member, fell on top of the lawmaker as some shouted, stay down, get closer to the wall. Mr. LaVore later found a bullet hole in his car. Standing along the first base sideline, Senator Jeff Flake of Arizona crouched near the ground and then helped Representative Mo Brooke of Alabama treat Mr. Bath, the congressional aide, who had been shot in the leg while in center field and had managed to stumble into the dugout. Mr. Brooks said that he had used his belt as a torque to help stop the bleeding. It seemed like it went on forever, said Mr. Williams, who injured his foot as he jumped into the dugout. Standing near second base, Mr. Scalise had nowhere to hide. Several lawmakers said they saw him go down, and then he tried to pull himself toward the dugout with his hands. Failing to get very far, Mr. Scalise remained in the field while the barrage of bullets continued, according to the several lawmakers who said they had been forced to wait until the shooting stopped to reach him. If not for the detail, who stepped up with basic revolvers, we would have all been dead, Representative Bishop said. At the second news conference on Wednesday, Mr. Slater, the FBI official, said the gunman was... Give me a moment. The FBI official said the gunman was shot multiple times in the torso. It was not clear whether Mr. Hoskins was shot by Capitol Police officers or those from the Alexander Police. It was a combat situation, said Michael L. Brown of the Alexander Police Chief. When the hail of bullets stopped, Mr. Flake and Mr. Brooks made their way to Mr. Scalise, bringing water for him to drink. Mr. Flake told CNN that he had put pressure on Mr. Scalise's gunshot wound. He said Mr. Scalise never lost conscience. The gunshot shattered the quiet morning in a residential neighborhood. David Miller, 50, was finishing his coffee when he heard the pop-pop. He thought it was nearby construction until he opened up the door in the building and saw people looking for shelter and heard gunfire. I started hollering for them to come in the building, he said. 5 or 6 people came inside, at least 2 people in a baseball uniform and one with a baseball bat. They were disheveled, Mr. Miller said, emotionally shaken and covered in dirt. Now, look, this is a sad situation. We do have the Second Amendment. We should be able to personally bear arms to protect ourselves and protect our loved ones. But it has to be done right. It has to be done through checks and balances, maybe a psychological test, some kind of way. We just can't. And people think you can still get guns off the street. It's not that easy like it used to be. I can go around the block and get a gun, as long as I got the money. But with the buyback programs that's still in existence today, it's cheaper to sell the gun back to the government than to buy it off the street. If I buy it off the street, I'll sell it to the government just to make a profit. So it's not that simple to buy guns on the street. Now, the problem is mental health. This is not the first time this guy had issues dealing with violence and dealing with guns. I'm not going to go into detail. You can look into it yourself. But this guy took time out of his busy schedule to leave, go cross states, sleep in a freaking van and live in that van until the right opportunity. That person is not right in their mind. That person's not right in their mind. So we definitely need to have some kind of psychological check before somebody purchases a weapon. It is something wrong in your head for you to leave states, possibly quit your job or leave your job or not make money to go across states to live in a van to take out some congressional leaders. I mean, a lot of them suck as politicians, but that shouldn't be, I mean, come on, that's just stupid. It's just stupid. Because all it's going to do is put you in jeopardy. Now, this guy is dead, and of course he's going to be dead. But a lot of people's injured. Now, what gets me is how people, and you should be up in arms. You should be mad. You should be fearful. You should be scared. You should be in an uproar. But when somebody around here in Hunts Point, Seneca, Bryant Avenue, Harlem, when gunshots happen there, it doesn't make big news. Somebody can go into a park at a baseball game and shoot around, and they don't sit there and make statements like this concerning the little people like us. No, but let the big congressional leaders get in a fearful situation. We just need to, the whole world need to stop. We need to stop voting. We need to stop everything. Stop the world from turning, because stuff that, it's just got real. You know what I mean? It's real out here in the field, in the baseball field. Bullets are flying everywhere. This is normal in most hoods. But Washington, D.C. is in uproar. Now, let me say this. It's not good, man. It's stupid. It's stupid to buy a gun to harm people anyway. It's okay to buy a gun and go hunting. It's okay, in my book, I believe in keeping a gun in your house, away from your kids, locked up somewhere, so if some idiot come into the house, he's going to meet his maker. You can't be saying, sir, could you please not break into my house and steal, or can you not break into my house and rape my wife and nothing like that? No. No, dude, you walked in the wrong house. You got to go. You got to protect your family. So there's a purpose for everything. There are a purpose for guns. Guns should not be taken away from everybody. Not in my personal book. I mean, that's just me. This is me personally. There's a purpose for having guns. Guns are supposed to protect yourself. And it's not the gun that hurt people. It's stupid people like Kim that get a hold of guns that hurt people. Now, those bullets had no names. Now, I imagine, and they say the guy worked on the Bernie Sanders campaign. What that got to do with anything? Okay, he worked on Bernie Sanders' campaign. He worked on Hillary. That had nothing to do with it. Bernie ain't tell that man to kill nobody. If anything, most of the Bernie people are lovebirds. we don't like that. You know, we don't appreciate that. You know, and for Joy Reid to open up her big blab mouth, Joy Reid is just, she disgusts me, man. She is disgusting. She is one of the most disgusting journalists. I thought Rachel Maddow lost her rockers, but Joy Reid is just nuts. Obviously, she don't like Bernie Sanders, and she's going to use this moment to politicize it against Bernie Sanders for him being for gun control, not getting rid of guns. Baby, we all know, we know you hate Bernie. We know you do. You hate that the fact that he has he primaried your girl, your baby girl, Hillary Clinton, your sweetheart, your darling. We know that. And you laughed at him, didn't think he would go nowhere. You didn't think he was a threat. But then you, like Trump, underestimated him, and he beat your girl. Your girl had to cheat in order to win. She cheated. She cheated. So for you to make this a political moment about Bernie Sanders and him with gun control is a low blow. It is a low blow. And I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed. I want my black women to come up in the world and be real journalists and things, but you know, you're a hack. And that shouldn't even have to do with color. It's hacks all over the place. But you just got that job and you hacking away to the point that it's disgusting. You, Bill Maher, are two of the biggest shields in history right now for Hillary Clinton. And to politicize this moment. Now let me get back on this. And for Paul Ryan to make a statement like he did, we're all in this together. Yes, we're all in this together. A bullet has no name. It can hit anybody. But are you saying we all in this together when you're trying to take food stamps out of the poor and the needy, the SNAP program. When you're trying to take away Social Security, we all in this together. Are you doing that when you're trying to work with Trump to take away funding from Meals on Wheels and different programs like that? We all in this together. Man, you ain't in this together. You just scared because that could have been you. People like me live like that every day. Walking down the street, we don't know what's going to happen. You got detail, security detail. Nobody follow me to work. You best believe I'm going to protect myself. So you get all scared up in arms, now you want to cry. Come on now. It's sad that these politicians came close to meeting their makers. It's sad that this young gentleman got shot. And I want a speedy recovery for him. I really do. But when these people who finally come to the face of death, face to face, we're all in this together. We need to unite. Why don't you do that about the people who are underprivileged? Unite to help them too. Now, my last point is this. One of the reasons why we have people like this nutcase fool is because we are beating the drums of hate for Trump. I don't like the guy as a politician. If he's a racist, he's a racist. I mess with racists in my face. That don't bother me. So what? You're a racist. All right? That's your problem. It's like tell people who gets on me because I believe in the Bible. Okay, I believe in Scripture and I'm a Christian. So, okay, you don't. So what's the problem? That don't mean we can't coexist and we can't be friends and things like that. I'm not holding it against you and you ain't holding it against me. That's personal. Leave it alone. Okay, Trump is president. This red baiting, this witch hunt, this hate Trump, stop Trump, holding up Trump head with blood dripping off and being in the music video with the music bumping and cars jumping up and down and you pointing a gun at a clown look like Trump. All that stuff is wrong. It is wrong. It's wrong. See, I come from an area where even though I don't agree with you, I may not like your ways, and I may not even like you, I got to learn how to get over that. And the way I deal with it is through meditation and prayer. You got to find a way to deal with that. Or you're going to end up being like this fool. Hiding in the van for about a month, going out there shooting somebody for 10 minutes. I heard this went on for 10 freaking minutes. 10 minutes now. 3 minutes in the earthquake is a disaster. I know, I've been in one in California. 3 minutes. 10 minutes of bullets flying off the ground and particles and all that plopping up in the air and hitting people. So I'm going to say the Democrats and the Republicans need to stop this. Democrats, you need to stop this witch hunt of Trump. If you're going to find something legit. Stop this red baiting. Because what you're doing the same thing. You're stirring up nutcases like this. And you're going to do the same thing with countries. You're stirring up all this hatred for Donald Trump. And it's unnecessary. Yeah, he may suck. Bush sucked. But you didn't stir up that much hatred with Bush. But it's so much hatred against Trump. I don't know why, but maybe it's this, what I call the I'm with her cult. Or the I'm with her clan. You're so upset. You're so bitter. You're so deterred. You're so frustrated that she lost to a reality show host. And let me stop there because people are trying to trivialize Donald Trump. Yes, he was a reality show host. Successful reality show. Big money. You also got to understand a New York businessman, whether he did it by hook or crook, very successful, billionaire, Forbes magazine. So to think that Trump is a dumb man would be dumb on your part. The man is very smart. And he's just playing you right into his hand. To make him think he wants you to think he's dumb. So he can do dumb stuff and you get distracted and other things get done behind your back. Wise up. The man is not dumb. You can call him an orange buffoon. That's what he wants you to think. Yeah, he orange, but he wants you to think he's a buffoon. Donald Trump is not a buffoon. Go back and read some of his books, The Art of the Deal and things like that. You'll see a person that's not so dumb. Go look at the empire he built and how he took Manhattan from a slush piece of trash in Times Square and in the surrounding areas and made it palatial and very wealthy and luxurious. A dumb person don't do that. So one of your biggest mistakes to fall into the hand of the Trump agenda is to think he's dumb. He's not dumb. And for you to keep stirring up this hatred toward Trump is going to create more idiots like this. It's time to stop that. And for you politicians who boo-hooing and crying and scared for your life right now, now you know how we feel. So instead of you focusing on what you need to do about your people up there in Capitol Hill, why don't you do that for everybody in America? Make sure every America's safe. And not with this overlording, policing policy that you have. No, there's other ways to doing it. There's the difference between community policing and overlording policing. So please, come on, people. Stop with this hate Trump. Let's impeach him, get him out of office. If you're going to impeach him, do it the right way. But we need to tone down this hate Trump, stop Trump. Got to tone it down. You got to tone it down. Got people actually believing that this man worked with Russia to hack the freaking election. But yet, there's all kind of evidence. John Podesta, Neera Tanden, Robbie Mook, Donna Brazile, David Wasserman Schultz, and the Hillary Clinton camp colluded with your railroad Bernie Sanders out of the election. But you're not putting that on the news. Anyway, I'm done. Let me stop, man, before I get too far into this thing, man. I got other stuff I need to talk about, but I need to get some sleep because I got to go to work tonight. As you see, I'm a whole lot better. Please pray for the families that were involved with that tragic accident. If you pray, put up good vibes or whatever you do on behalf of the families. Please do that. Same thing for the senators and the government leaders and the police that was involved. Pray for a speedy recovery. Let's continue to hold our politicians saying, how come it's okay for you, but it's not okay for me? If you cry about what's going on at that moment, why don't you do that when it happened in our neighborhoods? Where are you when that happened? And please stop. I'm going to stop calling out these people for this fake red baiting stuff. And please stop stirring up the hate Trump movement. It's not a stop Trump movement. It's not a stop Trump. If you want to stop Trump, there's a couple of articles, a couple of things that he's already done that you can draw up article impeachments and get rid of him, but you're going to get rid of him and end up getting Trump 10 times more. And Pence, the smoother version of Trump that can get stuff done. Trump can't get stuff done right now, but Pence know how to get stuff done. All right, I'm BOBTV. Like I said, I didn't steal Tim's set while he was going to the People's Convention, People's Summit. This is just a black background. I got a green one. The green one just was crap, and the black one looked better. And I'm going to change it though, because much as I like Tim, I don't want to seem like I'm copying him. But hey, they say there's nothing wrong with being a copycat as long as you copy the right cat. And Tim is a good cat to copy. Again, I want to shout out Vegematic for the beautiful Blue Yeti microphone that he blessed me with. Hey, it is my main mic, sir. Bam, as you can see, I'm using it. And I really appreciate you blessing me with that. And the people who have given into the Patreon, I want to thank you because you didn't have to do that. You know me. I believe your money belongs to you and you need to spend your money. And if you do have extra and you were going to spend it on a candy bar, don't eat the candy. You're on a diet. Give it to me every time you think about candy. So I can go eat the candy because I'm not on a diet. I need to, though. Let me stop. All right, so I'm BOBTV, Freedom on Fire, Hardcore Politics Edition. Hey, we need to get some kind of gun control. We need to get mental evaluations done before anybody get a handgun. And we need to see people's records. And if you find out somebody living in your van for 3 months, you might need to get that brother checked out. Because that's insane. I'm BOBTV. Peace.